Hello, I am Janine Shore. I'm so excited. Today I get to talk to Michael, and I can't wait to hear what he does. Michael, what do you do?
I am an inheritance investigator, the only one pretty much out there. I am the owner of Inherit More, and our job is to help people get through the process of inheriting. They already have enough on their plate grieving for the loss of a loved one. They most likely have other things going on in their lives, like family, and to deal with the stress and the time suck that comes with chasing down and finding what they're entitled to inheritance, and then dealing with all the banks and the insurance companies and all that stuff is just so much of an emotion and time suck that we created this company to help people get through that process.
So it's so funny. I sort of forgot as I've seen you on LinkedIn and seen your videos. I sort of forgot about the grieving process because right when my father died, there was no extra bandwidth. I wasn't able to think about anything.
Right. And that's exactly what we're trying to address. For some people, the issue is lack of knowledge or time, of just not being able to, have the time or know anything about the person who passed away to know where to start looking for assets and to deal, or to spend all that time dealing with all the bureaucracy. But for some people, it's an emotional issue. Some people just can't wrap their brain around the idea of emptying their parents' house and selling off the home, often the one where they grew up, as well as they just feel sometimes it's like almost a violation of their parents, or it's kind of that proverbial, I hate to say this, nail in the coffin on the memories, to start emptying out their parents' bank accounts and whatever else, even though I'm sure that's what the parents or other relatives wanted for them.
Right, and of course that makes sense. Which you recently have been posting a bit about wills, right? So if it's written down and all of a sudden it's so much more clear what they want to do with their assets, that probably also feels a little better. There
Right.
was a plan.
Exactly. So yeah, sometimes I think just having that knowledge that this is what the decedent wanted gives that permission in some people's minds to go ahead and deal with this, but still, it's still very tough.
Right, I totally get that both ways. So with that, what would you say is the favorite part of your job?
And I'd say my favorite part of the job is how the work we do can help change people's lives. We've had clients who, when they get that inheritance check, can totally change their lives. We've had some clients, heirs who are literally homeless, and they're able to get an apartment, or some who already have a home, but they can now finally buy a house of their own. We've had one of my favorites was a client actually who lives in the Netherlands, and he was a massage therapist. And until he worked with us or hired us, he used to have to run all around town with his table and his equipment to massage people. And then once we got the inheritance for him, he says, now I can actually start my own shop. So I can, rent a place where I can have people come to me. So I'm not spending half my time running around. And his other dream was to go to the Olympics, not as an athlete, but as a member of the crowd. And he was able to actually go. It was an expensive trip to go to another. I think it was in England at the time, and go there and see this. And it was always his lifelong dream. And to hear him tell us how he was able to achieve that dream was just great. So hearing how we can change people's lives, that's really the most satisfaction that we can get.
I can totally see that. I also could see how the decedent, is that the right term?
Yes.
How the decedent would actually want that. If only, right, if only they could cut through all the bureaucracy and get the inheritance, then they can use it to achieve those dreams.
Well, actually, I should correct you. The decedent is the person who's passed away.
Right, that's what I
the
meant. So the decedent, the
Okay.
person who passed away,
Yeah.
wanted to give the inheritance to
Yes.
whoever it is,
Yes.
and they, if there's bureaucracy, if there's obstacles in the way, then the heirs don't get to achieve their dreams unless someone like you could step in and help them.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's and sometimes the big issue is that the deceased never communicated where those assets are, and that's the gap we're filling.
Mm. Okay, and I heard, right? I heard you're a private investigator. Is that accurate?
It is. I own one Hawaiian shirt. I do not drive a Lamborghini or any other fancy sports car. I don't have that thick, cool mustache that only Tom Selleck could carry. I'm sorry. Even when I grow the beard in, I don't. The mustache only comes in so good. But yes, I am a private investigator. I'm not of the category of chasing cheating husbands at 3 in the morning. I don't do. I don't carry a gun. My weapons are up here, and the computer, and of course my staff, who's just awesome of helping cut through so much of the red tape. I think my weapon is more a scissor for for the red tape and the patience that we've learned than it is physically doing the things that you think of for a private investigator.
Right. So I think of banging down doors and shouting.
Yeah. Actually, private investigators can't do that, even if they were in that category. I, yes, they might do it. Whether they can is a different story.
Okay, fine. So, okay, I'll try to reframe that thought.
Sorry to dash your dreams.
Exactly, exactly. Okay, so you told me the story about the gentleman in the Netherlands. Do you have any other favorite stories of a recovery, sort of something that happened that you didn't think it was going to be, it was surprising the way it ended up?
Yeah, I mean, we had one where a couple passed away in California, and the wife's nobody knew anything about the wife's side of the family, and we tracked down the one cousin who was living in Dallas at the time, and he was pretty much couch surfing. He didn't really have a place of his own, and I met with him, and I told him that the sad news that he lost this one cousin was like his last relative, but also that he was going to inherit, and it was a very emotional time for him. And I remember asking him, so what are you going to do with your money? We're going to get you something. And he says, I think I'm going to fix up my truck. Like a very modest goals for him. And once we started kind of pulling on the thread of what was out there, we just kept finding more stuff. We found that the couple owned hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of brokerage accounts. They owned a mobile home and lot in Reno, Nevada, which we were able to sell for about $100,000. Sorry about that. And just we were finding different brothers. And by the end of it all, it was close to about $800,000. And it really was able, again, to change his life.
How did you get hired?
So the cousin, one of the cousins on the other side of the family, who didn't really have a stake in the estate, but she wanted to make sure that all of the assets were found and then were delivered to the right person, contacted us.
Okay, fine. Oh, that makes that makes sense. Somehow they knew about it and then found you.
Right. So Inherit More, we started about a year ago. It's the subsidiary of our first company, which is called Assets International, which has been in business now for 20 years. And so we have a pretty good reputation, and that's where we developed all of the skills and the contacts that we were able to incorporate for Inherit More.
All right. So let me ask you this: if you had to pick one superpower, what is your superpower?
What is power I'd like to have, or what the power I do have?
That you do have.
Okay, so I'm not sure if it's a power or a curse. I retain a lot of pop culture knowledge, including lines from movies and music and stuff like that. And sometimes it comes in handy. I think I do pretty well in Jeopardy. On the other hand, it annoys which actually might be a gift, it annoys my kids when I just randomly drop lines from songs into conversation and start singing them. So I retain a lot of useless information up here, but sometimes it does become useful, and therefore I guess that is a power.
That is a superpower, especially connecting with your kids, whether it's annoying them or making a memory.
Yeah, well, that's a parent's job.
Exactly. Okay, I didn't ask so much about business advice. Let me ask you this. Do you have any advice for people who are using LinkedIn to be able to use it even better?
Okay, so I'm just starting, a few months ago, started getting the ropes of LinkedIn. And I think I fortunately attended a really good session last week from some pros. And some of the tips that they gave were ones that I was already using. Other ones were ones I thought about. So I'll share some of them in no particular order. It's all just the old saying is, what 90% of life is just showing up. You gotta be there consistently. You gotta provide value, not just say, hey, this is what I do, hire me. People will tune you out. You gotta give value. The value can be education. The value can be entertainment. Make sure that people know what you do. When they should see on your LinkedIn tagline below your name what you do. Just saying, if I were to just say Michael Zwick, president of Inherit More, that doesn't really tell people. It doesn't really catch people's attention. So mine says the inheritance investigator. It sums up very clearly what I do, and it's right below my name. So when people see my name, they know what it is that I do. Participate in other people's posts, comment. Don't just have meaningful stuff to say if you can, not just hey, nice post or thank you, but post something like a good question, because all the other people just say you post something and I put a comment on there. Now all of your people are going to see that comment and go, who's this Michael Zwick that just contributed to that conversation? And they might then click on to I apologize if you can hear the dogs in the background. And they might click onto my profile and say, oh, I'd like to get to know this person more. So it's I heard the analogy last week that LinkedIn's like the party. When you come to the party, if you stand in the corner and you're just watching everyone else, you're going to leave alone. At the same time, you wouldn't walk into a party just saying, hey, here's my business card, buy for me. You got to establish connections. You got to establish conversations, because that's people want to do business with people they feel connected to. They don't want to just feel like you're just selling some commodity, because they'll always find someone who will undercut you on price.
For sure. Okay, and as business advice goes, exactly. So if they're not competing on price, what should they compete on?
There's the old saying that there are three things you can compete on: price, quality, service. It's very hard to offer all three of those, to be the most competitive on price and offer the greatest quality and the greatest service. But a lot of people for a lot of things, will pay more for the quality or service. So if you carve out that niche that you are the best, people will pay you more for that. Or you provide the best service, people will pay more for that. Problem is, if you're only competing on price, it's going to be a race to the bottom, and it's very hard to win on that. So.
That's fantastic.
Of course, I would say one last thing is, best thing is to do a thing where you don't have competition. Carve out a niche. Carve out you are the one person in that field, or you have that kind of unique characteristic that even if you're a competitive field, there's certain artistry or personality that you have that nobody else can be you.
That is fantastic, and leads me to my last question for real. Did I not ask you anything that you want to say?
I would say, first of all, if you want to connect with me, I will. I'm pretty open about connecting with anyone and answering questions. And if anybody wants to learn more about what I do and the services we provide, like I said, I post daily video where I try to be informative and or entertaining. Some days I hit both. Some days just one or the other. I like to think I hit one or the other every day. So feel free to pop on in and on my profile, connect with me or follow, and just hopefully enjoy, and hopefully I'll give you some value.
Oh, that's fantastic, Michael. Thank you so much for coming on and spending this time with me.
Yeah, have a great day.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
I'm pausing. You don't have to hang up yet.